Ring, 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 hello, pimps and vegans, and welcome back to Krown's magical Badabs and Cave.
Well. Where the fuck did that one come from? Welcome back to the Krown Crypto channel. My fellow tarnished soldiers here with the Bitcoin move of the day. No, a bunch of bullshit on that. However, we were looking for a nice little short-term upside move in the last 24 to 36 hours from yesterday's video. And that is what we have gotten in the last 24 hours. So with that in mind, how does the picture change on the higher term timeframes? Doesn't really change at all, but in the shorter term timeframes certainly does, and there are several things to be aware of for specifically today. Anyways, I see a shit ton of people in here already. We are trending up on the likes. Holy fuck, we're trending up. This is good, man. This is good. 800 people watching, almost 200 likes on the video as well. This is good. This is like yesterday, or not yesterday, but the day before, and the few streams before have been relatively quiet, as you would expect. Of course, the market is rather boring right now, which is where people typically tune off, and hey, fair enough, can't blame them. But do you understand that during these more boring times, that is where a lot of the major plays are made, although requiring a lot of patience. And I can see a lot of impatience in the chats, although I do hey man, I totally understand, but hey, when you do start to feel those sort of emotions, it is a good time to be kind of being aware of price action, because on the bigger, on the bigger pivots, that is where, the real major moves typically are sprung from. So I just want to welcome everyone in here right now. And holy, what the actual fuck? What the likes just doubled in a second. They went from 200 to 400. What the actual hell? What's going on here? You savages. What's up, Crypto Fundamentals? There he is. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Mr. Hoax, Mr. Tomstruct, Gabor, Dad Rackets. See a lot of familiar faces here today. Nikki Page, good morning to you. Our lovely moderators. I think we have another few moderators as well. Mr. Big Boy George, Sean Waller. Who else do we have? Christina Maria, African Crypto Warlord. My fucking man. Always good to see you, dude. Always good to see you. And I'm just looking for a few more. There he is, Mr. Lawyer Tom, tough with 2 Fs. Yes, we were having some good bonk action yesterday. In fact, some very productive bonk action yesterday, or as productive as you can be on a fucking video game. But you know what, man? I've been having a good old time. And we got Nimbo and Rocky G. Holy shit, man. This is good. This is very, very good. And Elliot Paulo Scianio. Definitely Greek or Italian, or they're basically the same thing anyways. Sorry. But, well, they are. Anyways, I'm gonna take another few sips. And Philson, there he is. Bonk the likes. Yeah, give the longs a good old bicola. There you go. Anyways, and Matador MC, what's up, man? From Australia. All right. Yeah, man, I'd actually love to visit Australia, but Elsa's too afraid of like little critters and creatures, and so there's no way that that's happening, because she's gonna be screaming, man. Holy shit! You should have seen this character in Elden Ring last night. It was like this massive centipede, death face fuck, and she was screaming like a little girl in heat, which doesn't make any sense. In fact, that sounds like maybe pedophilia, but it doesn't matter. We are talking about magic internet money business today, and that is the focus. And I need to take another sippy sip of this, because the brain is a bit lackluster today. I do apologize in advance. There we go. Yeah, a lot of Australians, man. Some of the best people that I've met traveling are definitely Australians. In fact, actually, literally some of the best people that I know are Australians. Oh, and I see Faraz. What's up, Mr. Faraz? Good morning to you. And again, major congratulations on winning. Holy shit, man. You won. Like, that means what we've been saying for a long time, man. You are one of the best in the metaverse, sir. Mr. Faraz, go follow him. Go follow him on Twitter. Wait, what? We already knew that, says Elsa. Yeah, man. Holy shit, now almost 600 likes. That is insane. All right, well, I think hey, what's up, Tony? There he is, man. And Yi loves pizza. Holy shit, another OG of the cave. There we go. Man, a lot of Australians. That is insane. That is actually insane. And Kiwis as well. Actually, New Zealand is a place that I really love to go to alongside Elsa, because anytime that you say, I would like to go there, then your girlfriend goes, hey, what about me? It's like, okay, yes, both of us will be going. And I definitely want to see where the Lord of the Rings was filmed, man. That place is just absolutely gorgeous, man. Absolutely fucking gorgeous. Anyways, I just want to make sure that I have all my charts set up over here for how we're going to present the content of today. I want to first start with the lower term timeframes, because we were looking for an upside move from there. We've gotten that upside move, even validated the short term timeframe range to the upside, so that is good. Okay, over here, the major bearish potential situation is still actually rather far away now, and I want to look at momentum oscillators over here, of which we'll start with the lower term timeframes as well. All right, cool. Just one more sippy sip, and then we'll get right into it. San Francisco, that's actually where I grew up. Very cool. It must be the dead of night for you over there, man. I go to bed at like 8:30, so I know nothing about staying up late any longer. Alrighty, there we go, man. There we go. Why Matt Dick Brown again? Oh, because you're not wiping properly, man. That's why. What the fuck? Anyways. Here we have Bitcoin, of course, starting off with the chart of the day, if you will, following up on the short-term timeframes that we started with yesterday, and that would be on the 4-hour time frame, of which we did identify several drives of regular bullish divergence come off the lows, all the way up to a 6-hour, I do believe, and that did have short-term targets up to the 39,500-ish region, of which we did say, hey, if Bitcoin does start to close even an hourly above this region, I would be looking for a full-on melt up on the short-term timeframes to the 618 Fibonacci retracement. This is the bear retracement from the overall range of the last few weeks here, to be fair, but that would be pretty much where we're at right now, between about 41,000 and 41,500. Both of those targets have been met, obviously, and so what do we expect from here as volatility does hit extremes on the short-term timeframes? Very likely a little bit of short-term sideways, maybe a bit of a short-term, slight move to the downside, but ultimately I would be looking at this as likely to produce a higher low. Anywhere above $40,000 is going to look quote unquote good for Bitcoin. Now, with that in mind, I am essentially short-term, medium-term going to be looking for upside continuation after perhaps a short-term pullback. I'm not super engorged with that idea, but that is contingent upon Bitcoin staying above the 0.5 right here at $40,000. Until then, all short-term downside is just another higher low, and I do look for that to beget more continuation to the upside, barring a medium or higher term time frame closure above specifically the 618 right here. Again, let's call it 41,500 with targets up another few $1,000s to the upside, $44,500 to $45,000. That is the big area, which we'll get into just a second. But for right now, I want to go over the lower term time frame stochastic momentum, as we do see right on over here, a 4-hour time frame is going to be with upside momentum as long as Bitcoin's above 40,300. So obviously Bitcoin could play a little bit of pullback, but that would still be in alignment with short-term trend. On top of that, I want to take a second to speak to the people who actually have the advanced stochastic right here, as this is a pretty damn good. This is essentially the signal that you're looking for with 4 hours, or sorry, not necessarily always has to be 4 hour, but in this case it was the 4 hour. We see stochastic momentum to the upside, but more or just as important, we see the DMI now supporting as of 2 bars ago, alongside a very expanding from a low area right here on the HVP, and ADX was fully contracted as well. So that is what a typical good signal does look like. That was 2 bars before the actual move, and so you can see right here that is, well, looking so far so good. Anyways, other lower term timeframes, I'm curious to see where they're at right now. I suspect that we probably are lining up for maybe a bit of a short-term pullback, but I'm not too married to that idea right now. Yeah, we do see bi-hourly actually still looking good right here. HVP is not in a super critical zone, nor is BBWP, which I trust a little bit more in these scenarios. Yeah, even 4-hour BBWP, not even that much above 80 percentile, in fact. So it's really not until we get to 90 to 95 percentile where I start to look for as very likely to get a little bit of a short-term consolidation. In this case, actually, we could very easily see another leg up from here. We'll overlay conditions for continuation on that soon enough, and then I imagine the hourly should very likely be flippy floppy here. Actually still to the upside as well, above 41,200. So very interesting. Anyways, into the medium term timeframes we go, because this is where things really start to look a lot more interesting, as we did cover up yesterday. The 12-hour stochastic momentum was turning to the upside, I believe, somewhere around about 39.5 it was yesterday, and we said that that was going to be a big pivot on price action, not just for structure, but also momentum turning up above that region as well. So now you can see when you have a range resolution plus momentum turning in that same direction, those are typically really high fidelity signals, in the sense that it offers up a good pivot on price action. It doesn't mean that things are, destined to go above there in this case. It just means that if they do, well, now you have a very likely powerful breakout in this case for the short and medium term timeframes, and that was your nearly $3,000 move in the last 24 hours. So not bad right there, and definitely potential for more. Now here's where things become a little bit more a full circle for the higher term timeframes going into the daily. We do see daily stochastic momentum will turn to the upside with any sort of a closure today, 7 p.m. Eastern time, above 41,150. So that is the relevancy for the higher term timeframes. Obviously, we would expect Bitcoin to essentially close above the 618 in this case, which is actually exactly there, as you can see, or maybe you can't see because it's a little bit hidden behind that blue box, but the 618 is about 41,173. So close enough is close enough. That is basically the same as far as I'm concerned. So let's now go into the shorter term timeframes, overlay continuation conditions for the lower term timeframes. That would obviously lead into medium term timeframe targets, again, somewhere up around 44 to 45,000 bucks essentially, which would be an hourly closure Sorry, I would actually not use an hourly in this case. I would use a 4 hour in this case above about $42,000. If I'm using an hourly, would I use the same area, or could I use the same area? I suppose I could. But I do hesitate to use a very low term time frame like an hourly on what would be essentially a medium term time frame move. And of course, for the short term to the downside, I do look at everything as a higher low and very likely to beget continuation to those upside targets as long as Bitcoin is specifically above $40,000, or if you want to be a little bit more exact, I'd say 40,400. So I'm actually going to move up this blue box right here a little bit further north, and we'll just keep it right there for right now. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, all pullbacks, as far as I'm concerned, are just another higher low before a general continuation to the upside. Are there some signals that we could have a pullback short term? As of right now, actually not that many, to be fair. As of right now, it actually does look like Bitcoin might have just one more leg to the upside. I'd still want to see it validate specifically above about $42,000 if trading a lower term time frame. And then yes, I would be looking for a general move up in the following days, maybe a week or whatever, or probably not a week, but the following days, somewhere up around about $44,000 to $45,000. That is where things really start to take a massive turn for the long term, specifically because we have been marking off this idea as the Hopium idea, which is still very much valid. Let me just find where it is right here. And yes, it's right here, in the sense that Bitcoin has been in the process of constructing what would be actually its third higher low. Now, I did kind of look for, maybe one more move to the downside. To be fair, we actually did get that move to the downside on that wick a few days ago, but that's why timing is not something that I am good at, nor do I think it can really be, accurately done, to be quite honest with you. But ultimately, this would be a re-accumulation formation, assuming that $36,500 low holds on a daily closure. Right now, obviously very far away from current price action, but this range has been taking its time for the last couple months here, so I wouldn't necessarily be front running any sort of major resolution, especially when we're literally in the middle of this range anyways. But ultimately, if this does work out as a re-accumulation formation in the format of an ascending triangle, which is still very much valid here. This is valid as long as Bitcoin's above specifically 36,500. I'd even go as far as saying 37,000 now, as this naturally does rise up over time. But this would have a resolution point on a daily closing basis above $44,500, or a 4-hour closing basis $45,000, and a technical target significantly higher as well, into the mid $50,000 territory, between about $55,000 and $56,000. Now, also what is of particular relevance for today, not today, but this week, is going to be the weekly, as we've been also marking off that the weekly would be confirming what is another higher low right here. So we have low, higher low, and third higher low right here, obviously on the macro scale, going off of the macro consolidation range. And then on top of that, what could be confirmed as soon as the end of this week on CME first on Friday, and then obviously spot price action on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, would be 2 drives of hidden bullish divergence on the weekly time frame right here. That will actually be confirmed with any sort of a closure here or higher, so basically above 41,500. If that does happen, that would also have a natural technical target into the $52,000 region, which would obviously play into the technical formation that we've been kind of keeping up here for the time being. And I would say that signal does have potential for significantly more as well, seeing as we are on relatively low levels of volatility here for the weekly. As you can see, this was the same levels that we saw on the early or mid-May move to the downside of last year. Now, this one obviously came to the downside, and volatility is of course direction neutral, but ultimately, whenever we do see low volatility, we do expect big moves. That's the thing. And you can see an example of it happening to the upside a little bit before that in October 2020 right here. But basically, I just want to show that, low volatility typically leads towards very severe moves. You'll notice, however, that within the context of our momentum oscillators right here, we were printing on that last major downside move many drives of bearish divergence on the weekly. And of course, the one before that, we actually didn't have any drives of hidden bullish divergence, to be fair, although should there have been one right there? No, that is actually correct. But ultimately, trend was in favor right there. In this case, we do have a couple drives of hidden bullish divergence come off the lows. Weekly Jewel is also having some upside posturing. It's not supported by DMI just yet. However, with very low volatility like this, that these signals typically are going to be the more powerful ones and the more, again, high fidelity ones. We can even take that one step further and look at stochastic momentum over here on the weekly. And you'll notice very quickly that weekly stochastic momentum is, very likely going to move again to the upside as long as Bitcoin is closing above 37,200. What's also relevant relevant about that number is that would be very close to the major downside resolution. So again, as long as Bitcoin is within this overall trading range between about, let's say 37 to 45, it's not very wise to be front running these sorts of things. I do think that, if you're if you're trading that formation right there, at least in my experience, it's best to trade off the lows of it. So around the lows of what we saw the last few days that we were kind of speaking about right there. And then, well, if it if it breaks down, then you're pretty damn close to your potential, or what would very likely be your stop loss. But ultimately, wait, what's going on right there? Sorry, just perusing some of the comments right there. Very interesting. Anyways, in this case, still, I want to be very, very deliberately clear that until we have actually full-on closures, resolution above 45 or below about 37, I would, it's not very wise to be calling a major correction. But I do think that there are a few more bullish things actually on the table than bearish, for what it's worth. Again, to reference yesterday's video, I want to go over here into now the Krown trading application and speak a little bit about the global open interest yet again. I've just found so much use in this particular indicator, both on the hourly and the daily feed. Now, what's significant about the hourly feed right now is that we've actually seen about 2 billion added onto open interest in the last few hours, it does look like. Now, the daily feed is going to show just below 10 billion, but the hourly is going to show almost 11 billion actually. So the reason why that is significant is because we do see that this is once again putting in, what would be constitutive of a major low right here. So we did see a reset. Remember, we had our alerts going on over here, and then after that reset, move to the upside a little bit more likely. Now, again, this, that was relevant for, the last few days when we've been essentially saying, hey, Bitcoin's more likely to try some upside from here than downside. But in this case, now I kind of look at this as back in neutrality, and I would once again have major caution above about 14 billion. But again, I don't want to get too ahead of myself right here just yet. What's also of interest in the last 24 hours that we did see negative funding rates. Even on the hourly data feed, we see, slightly negative rates again. And then, of course, the fear and greed index is that extreme fear, obviously. So this setup, a little bit, on the underlying market dynamic side, a little bit more, likely to lead towards an upside resolution. So that was also kind of playing into the analysis over the past few days, of which we're kind of seeing play out right now. Anyways, Elsa's having a great laugh in the background. Graham Clark says, Elsa, do you own Hex? She is Hex's greatest ally. Also, when is Pulse coming out? That's a good question, man. I was told like half a year ago, and still no Pulse. Where is it? Anyways, because I actually did sacrifice to it. Anyways, okay, so where was I on that? Yeah, I should let you know that the premium features are live. If you are looking for those faster data feeds, you can find more about them in the link in the description below, and in the Learn More tab on the Krown Trading application right here. Also gets you access to the Jewel Light, of course. And do I want to say anything else about price action right here? I think we've gotten mostly everything. Let's talk about downside invalidation. So I spoke about a downside invalidation basically at around 40,000, just above 40,000 bucks right here. I'd say any sort of an hourly closure specifically below $40,000, but even a 4-hour closure below about 40,300. And I would look at this move as a not a fake out, but essentially a bull trap, and targets back down to the bottom side of this overall range between about 37 and 37.5. But until that happens, I do look at any pullback short term here, especially above those numbers on a closing basis, as just another higher low, and contingent upon busting action above about 41, more like 41.9 to $42,000 on a shorter term time frame closure. I would be looking for a little bit more busting action, somewhere around 44 to 45. And obviously that brings Bitcoin a lot closer to the upside resolution of the general range, which has major targets to the upside more longer term. And that would, be good for the BULAs right here. So ultimately, I still think that BULAs have a chance. I think that, short term, ball is a little bit more in the BULAs court than the Bears. Of course, we do have a lot of geopolitical situations going on as well. So it is not the wisest to be getting too ahead of ourselves, because the news cycle is getting, or can be, quite crazy. And I always have to remind myself that on this chart over here of what I've been kind of relating to as the potential worst case scenario, it is still contingent upon actually officially closing below the white 20 simple on the monthly. Until that happens, I don't think that the worst case scenario with major moves to the downside is relevant, or at least in my way of doing things, actionable. Of course, you're free to do however you want to do, but I want to take even I want to take another second to kind of bless you and stop. And sorry. Anyways, Russian bears will bust all over bulls. What kind of bulls though? Russian or other nationalities. Anyways, I want to give credit to Mr. Nimbo for calling this one out to me. I spoke about this very briefly yesterday and maybe the day before, but basically the monthly Trollinger bands have been pretty interesting and accurate. More importantly, getting essentially the low of the cycles in kind of a non-conforming way than you're supposed to typically use them. But basically the idea is, or the history of it is, and of course you make the decision for yourself, is that on the monthly Trollinger bands, we expect major expansion when Bitcoin is in its parabolic blow off tops and then its catastrophic, crumbling moves to the downside. So that's what you see right here, where the Trollinger bands are extremely expanded. And then as they collapse in on each other, essentially the contraction phase, once it starts to reach that that very contracted posturing right here that you see. Let me just kind of mark it off for a second. I already kind of did mark it off, the big zero thing. That is when the lows were actually put in and Bitcoin was going through its accumulation phases. And this theoretically makes sense, right? You expect extremely high volatility during parabolic moves. I mean, that's when price action is extremely violent, and of course during the major downside moves as well. And then as things do contract, what's essentially happening, the ranges are tightening and things get a lot more boring, and that's typically when the accumulation phases do emerge from. So we can see this iteration over here from December 2012, as we do see it contract on each other. That was near the end of the reaccumulation phase before Bitcoin's made move to the upside. Same thing over here in 2015. Once they started to really converge on each other, the lows were already in and Bitcoin was just kind of getting ready to leave in the next few months its accumulation range on the macro. Anyway, same thing over here. Of course, in 2018, they start to converge on each other, especially the bottom end, as you can see, and the lows were in about at that point. And then as you can see right here in just drawing some damn things. Whoopsies, sorry about that. As you can see over here in 2022, the bottom side of the Trollinger band is starting to rapidly rise up. Now, is this, where do you sort of confirm that as its own signature? Well, you really want to see it start to kind of curl around, of course, as you see right here, and flatten out a little bit. This one's still kind of approaching at a rather rapid rate, but I would say that would be a big counterpoint on the macro schedule that that Bitcoin actually is, likely to put in some macro lows above $30,000. So with all of that in mind, I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense. And I think we got out exactly what, oh yes, and there's one last thing. Oh man, okay, so this was a big one. So remember the 5-day stochastic momentum that we spoke about over the past few days here. We identified that above 39,500, it would once again turn up, and that would have been a great signal for a bit of a short-term fake out, actually, as we had a short-term range resolution above 39.5, right? That was yesterday and the day prior, and the day prior than that as well, and we obviously got that. So of course it still has a few more days left to go until closure. That would be, I believe, Friday probably. I think it's Friday at least, but assuming that Bitcoin still remains above there, that would actually be another good signal in line with all the other timeframes that we very likely do see. We very likely do see another try to the upside, and another sort of thing begetting that potential continuation above specifically $45,000. So again, just kind of bulling it down into two senses here. Above 45, good. Looking for $55,000 to $56,000 over time. In the following weeks with stops along the way, likely at around I don't know, probably like 51 or 52. On the higher term timeframes. Below $40,000 on the short term timeframes is going to be short term bad for the Boo laws, looking for moves back down to our short term timeframe range lows. So that would be your 37 to 37.5 region. And then of course below 36.5 on a daily, I do look at this as overall bearish with major targets to the downside, very likely going to front run a major meltdown of the macro situation that we spoke about here over the past couple weeks here as the worst case scenario being validated. But until then, I do think that the upside actually a little bit more likely for what it's worth right now. Anyways, hopefully that was hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Bitcoin, sirs and zers. Lovely, man, fucking lovely. Let me finish off the rest of this coffee, and then we'll move on through it. Okay, there we go. Wow. All right. Looking good, sirs and zers. And Elsa, no laughing. Okay, stop with the fucking laughing. If I hear one more goddamn peep out of you, you're fired, and you'll never be heard from again. Are you gonna throw me off the balcony? Well, I wasn't considering murdering anyone today, but What the fuck? Are you gonna it also always says like weird shit like, are you gonna kill me? It's like, what the fuck? Like, no, I wasn't, or nor was I planning on. What? Okay. All right, Mr. Faraz, there he is. Ethereum Bitcoin on the weekly for a Simpy Ethereum holders and Prada bag buyers. How many Prada bags can you buy with all them Ethereums that you got now, man? That's like 30 bags, I think. Anyways, pull up Ethereum Bitcoin over here. You know what? We should do a general. Oh, wow. That's ugly. Sorry, man. I don't know about this. Let me throw on this. Alrighty, here we have Ethereum versus Bitcoin. We'll also cover Ethereum versus US dollar in this video as well. But the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing does look like it is setting up for another short-term leg to the downside on the weekly, actually. Somewhere down around the 55s where I would be looking for, and probably another short-term bounce. So that would be around your 0.0635 region, anywhere around there. And hopefully for the Bulos, another short-term bounce from that region. Going over here to a daily, pretty fucking ugly, to be fair. And this does play into our analysis over the macro on Bitcoin dominance, generally heading up and to the right. And, well, Ethereum Bitcoin gonna not be looking too hot on that. Slew of lower highs right here, same lows, and rising volatility. What do we have? We do have a distributive formation. This is obviously a descending triangle, and it would be upon validation below 645, having a technical target probably even lower than the weekly pullback region. So if you do see a daily closure again below that 645 region, technically speaking, there is a target all the way down to 5.7 or so, with very likely a bounce along the way at the weekly area that we just spoke about right there. Problem is that all higher term timeframes are actually looking for a pullback here. Looking at the monthly, that would be directly in line with the monthly 21, and I suspect that momentum from a stochastic perspective are probably also heading in the same direction, or if they are, that would make this call a lot easier. And well, not necessarily just yet. A weekly will remain to the downside as long as this one's below 0.07. 5-day is, wow, I mean, these are like really critical areas right here. Monthly is where things become a lot more abundantly clear. Below 0.075, this one is in still critical region. So I do suspect that this one does have more downside to go. Maybe after one more short-term bounce after that next target is met. Long term, I would not say that this one is out of the woods, to use that terrible fucking analogy, as long as this one's basically below the 0.07 region. So that's kind of where I draw the line on this one. Above 0.07, I do look for this one to return up towards about 0.08 on the macro, and that'll look pretty damn good. Now let's juxtapose that against the Ethereum USD chart over here, as we haven't, these things are obviously going to be slightly different, and we can see very clearly that on Ethereum versus the dollar, on the weekly specifically, we see something a lot more akin to Bitcoin, where it is seemingly putting in another higher low here on the macro scale. And that obviously does come with a downside invalidation below about 2,400 or so. So that is to say that as long as this one's above 2,400, I do look at this as your next actual macro low in the making. Weekly stochastic momentum is actually freshly heading up to the north side after hitting extremes right here, and will be remaining to the upside as well. Will be to the upside if this one does close the week above about 27.37. So it's actually below there right now, to be fair. So not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. 5-day is showing 27.05 as a magical number. That one closing on Friday, I do believe. And daily is going to turn up above 27.42 upon closure today, which again is actually $20 below there right now. So we would expect that this one does have some short-term upside continuation if these criteria are going to be fulfilled, specifically before end of week. If that doesn't happen, I would say that that's a good... It's probably a good indication that it's that this whole move is just one massive bull trap. But for right now, the daily playing up to the 21, I mean, that's actually already the easy move, but I should denote that there is a drive of regular bullish divergence on the daily. That would have been the easy target. If you do see a validation upon today's daily closure above about 27.30, 35, let's say, I would extend those targets up somewhere between about 28.50 to 29, just over 29 in that case. Long term on the macro here, especially on the weekly for the USD chart, again, the big bad area to get above is about 30.50 50, that is. Even just trading back above there would look pretty damn good, although, you know, more conservative people would like to see a closure. Either which way that you kind of paint that one, this would be validating, I imagine, under the drive of hidden bullish efforts to come off a rejection of the bearish control zone if that were to happen, and that would have a technical target more long-term, you know, in the following month, maybe 2 months, somewhere up around about $38,000 to $4,000 actually. And you will notice that the weekly jewel has lost its downside curvature, starting to potentially get some upside here, but still need to see that one turn actually cyan before that is a validated signal, which we could get at perhaps as soon as Sunday. So hopefully that was helpful on Ethereum. Again, validations for downside or major downside continuation is basically below about 24 or basically 2,500 on a daily closure. Until then, I think that Hopium still remains alive with the boo laws, and again, easier just to watch Bitcoin, simply because Bitcoin has a little bit more obvious ranges and seems to be running this market right now. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go, sir and zers. The bottom one, says Elsa. Mr. Alonso Vega, good morning, sir. Do you think that Bitcoin is changing its bearish movement and daily chart to bullish in a compression stage? You mean consolidation? Anyways, sorry, Elsa missed like half the message, but I know where it is. There it is. Okay, sweet. I see that the moving averages are getting closer. There are also higher lows, and that make a triangle. A triangle? That must be bullish. No, I'm just giving you shit, man. It's always funny because it's like we talk about these fucking, you know, kindergarten shapes as being the key to financial freedoms. But you know, if there is one formation that I actually do think has a high hit rate, it would be triangles, specifically ascending and descending varieties. Anyways, I'm guessing you're getting here a little bit later because this was mostly spoken about in the Bitcoin analysis. But to just, you know, quickly say it, yes, I do think that Bitcoin is, or at least as of right now, Bitcoin is putting in its second higher low on the weekly, and any sort of a move back above about $45,000 with a daily closure above there, you know, I'm looking for this one to play up big time to the mid 50s actually in the following weeks. So yes, it is definitely consolidation. I think that much is abundantly clear. The question is, when does it get validated as a upside continuation formation in the format of, in this case, would be an ascending triangle, would again be above about 44.5 on a daily or a 4-hour closure above $45,000. Until then, must hold 36.5 or more like $37,000 now on a daily closing basis. To keep the boo laws hopes alive on the higher term time frame. Look right there. Hopefully that was helpful, sir. All right, cool. And I'll post a video like the morning video a little bit later on that, so that should provide a bit more color on that, hopefully. Gongyoku says, will Luna hit $500 today? Maybe if Ripple hits 589. Wow, holy shit, man. What the fuck? I think I own this thing too. Hold on. Need to check my wallet. But I think I actually do own this thing, but I haven't looked at it in a long time. Pretty damn good though. Pretty damn good. Let me take a sip of this water and then we'll record a video on this one, because this one has a pretty obvious this one has a pretty obvious chart actually. In fact, this one played really, really well with our pullback idea coming off of last week down to the mid 70s. Actually, nearly perfectly right there. All right, just 1 second here. I need to get a nice burp out as well. Whoa! Man, that Finnish coffee is doing a number on my stomach. All right, here we have Terra Luna, symbol LUNA versus the dollar. I believe we did a video on this one last week. Yeah, last week it was where it hit this target here, or sorry, this area right here at about the just under $100 region. We said a pullback was likely and a higher low between the low and mid 70s, which is what we've gotten thus far. Couldn't have told you that the response would be immediate like this. However, a response immediately like this is a pretty damn good signal, which you definitely don't need me to tell you that. In this case, we do actually have a major consolidation, which looks like it's it's actually being resolved here, which is incredibly impressive. And I would be looking for very likely another retest of prior all-time highs in the coming weeks, in the coming like week or two. In fact, somewhere between about 100 and what is the actual high? I think it's about $1.05. From there, I'd probably be expecting another short-term time frame pullback, and probably more continuation towards new all-time highs. This is the best chart certainly that we've seen today, and I'd imagine probably the best chart in cryptocurrency land. The monthly is bullish. I'd actually feel quite confident and comfortable calling new all-time highs at the end of this month, maybe April, but probably end of this month. This is very, very good. So the question then becomes, where are the where would be the next sort of set of targets if this one does continue upwards and onwards. So let me actually plot a Fibonacci extension in this case, and let's see where they be coming in around. So upon validation above prior highs, I would actually be looking for this one to find its way basically somewhere around, $1.15 to $1.22 or so, something like that. Short-term stop there, very, very likely. Long-term, assuming that, the market remains healthy and there's not World War III or anything like that, maybe later this year, or perhaps into maybe like the end of Q2 of this year. Probably looking somewhere between about $1.50 to $1.70, which is not bad right there. So again, these are higher term time frame looks. This isn't happening anytime soon, at least in my opinion. Short term time frames, probably has a bit of a short term time frame pullback here. Any pullback that just doesn't go below about $85 is completely fine, and I actually would be looking for a general upside continuation in the coming weeks towards prior highs first, and then very likely a short term pullback plus continuation towards those next set of regions. Only invalidation below, again, the mid 80s, at which point, probably the whole market comes down. In this case, this one probably looking somewhere down around about $69 or so. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Terra Luna. Actually, just one last thing. I do want to see what it looks like over here. This could actually drastically help out the analysis. Wow, okay, this is very, very interesting. Weekly stochastic momentum turning up freshly, rejecting the bearish control zone. As long as price action remains above $60, basically, even a little bit lower than that. Currently trading 96 and a quarter. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that that's pretty fucking good. 5-day, not only that, but is playing out, oh wow, I already have it in there, is playing out the same trend line test that we've seen all the way back to January of 2020, represented by these green vertical bars right here, getting a lot of the macro lows. I'm going to say that that's pretty damn good. So hopefully that was helpful on Luna, and looking good, man. One of the best charts in cryptocurrency land. Sweet. Let's see. Dr. Colossus. Okay. Whoa. Cameron B said, hey, man, just nice positive message. Thank you for that, man. I really appreciate that, Cameron. Thank you. I'm blushing, man. But it's not even a question, just a positive message. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. And thank you for joining the cave as well, sir. Dr. Colossus says XRP, USD, daily and weekly. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. All right, let's plop it in over here and see what the old Ripple Dipple is doing. And not following as much with the rest of the market, but I remember we looked at this one earlier this week on Monday, and it's really actually not that bad right here. Above about 82.5 cents. You're on the weekly, right? Yeah, you are on the weekly. Above about 82.5 cents, I say that this one does get validated as a macro low, and very likely does beget continuation back above $1 again, actually. Monthly on this one, no, I don't have any analysis right there. Daily, a little bit less impressive. Again, I actually would be waiting for those validations, and of course there is a major validation for a retest towards your late February lows and in early February lows, which would be a daily closure basically below about 70 cents. But until then, I actually do think that this one tries a little bit of short-term upside from here. You do see a bit of a major move in the making with very, very low daily BBWP like this. For right now, daily RSI is more on the bullish side than the bearish side, but again, even on the daily, I'd like to see it get back above about 78 cents, at which point I do think that the weekly very likely does follow through from there. Problem is, it's just always difficult to be looking, for a move like that on Ripple, because it just always kind of seems to disappoint. But I do think that there is, if it is going to have a chance, it very likely happens from here. So I'll kind of leave it right there. Be aware of where the validation is for downside, and I think that'll do it for that one, sir. George Serpelis, thank you for that, brother. But feel free to have a message as well, man. Some G, that is a fucking great name. Can you please tell me if that is your real name or not? I need to know. That's an amazing name. Yeah, we already looked at Luna, so all good there, sir, and recorded it, so we'll put it up a little bit later. Let me just scroll through here and make sure that I didn't miss anyone. And I think it's Mr. Jack now. What's up, Jack, brother? Pound dollar. Yeah, let's look at some Forex, man. I love actually looking at Forex. Okay, pound dollar. Let's go to OANDA, and you're looking at a weekly. Ugly as fuck. Ugly as fuck, man. Let's see. Looks like I had a bit of a chart on it before, but it's not too relevant any longer because moves have already happened. I'm looking, I know you didn't ask for a monthly, but I just find that this chart's a bit easier right here. I'm looking for this one to continue with general major downside long term, maybe around end of year, somewhere down around 128, maybe a little bit lower than that, towards 1.25. Ultimately, I do think this one in the next couple of years probably finds its low somewhere down around about $1.20 to $1.23. We do see another drive of hidden bearish divergence. Actually should be right here, in fact. And yeah, it actually should be right there. Let's see, maybe it's on a quarterly. Perhaps it's on a quarterly. Let's see. Yeah, it is on a quarterly, and I'm looking for severe downside on this one, man. I think that you're heading back down to macro range lows, so somewhere between about $1.20 to $1.23 in the next couple of years here. Nothing bullish about this chart as long as you're below 140. If you're on a weekly, you know, maybe short-term bouncy coming off the 200 simple, but even on the weekly, very, very ugly. As long as you're below about 136 or so, and another drive of hidden bearish divergence right there. Volatility just freshly turning up. You know, short-term bounces are probably just that. I do suspect that this one has major continuation to the downside over the long term. Very ugly chart there for the pound specifically. Take another sippy sip of this. Okay, lovely. Congratulations, 1,000 simps in here. Holy shit, man, we got the right 1,000 simps. This is beautiful. And 1,000 likes in the video as well. That's amazing. Holy shit. This is, we're doing better. We're doing better. Very much appreciate that, actually. Fuck Rose says, what's up, man? Glad to see, hey, glad to see you as well, man. Can you, yep, Luna, we got it. We got Luna earlier. A lot of people wanting Luna for a good reason. Lemon says, Guten Morgen, sir. Guten Morgen to you as well. Can you check my Vax bag? But don't you know vaxes were so 2 months ago? Now it's all about World War III, sir. You need to get on the fucking defense stocks. 22 UA. What the hell is this thing, man? Well, it's bad. Yeah, man. Vaxes are out, man. It's World War III is in. Don't you know? Do you have any time frames on this? No time frames. Bought it $86 two years ago. Man, you had, sir, you had. Please tell me you took some profit above at least $200, man. Dear fucking Lord. Yeah, I think this one's coming back down to your entry, man. Descending triangle on the lows already. This is continuation, very likely. Very, very likely. Any sort of a daily closure basically below like 114, and I'm looking for your entry to probably get, maybe not exactly your entry, but probably like low 90s. Very ugly chart. I think this one's done for a long time, man. Toby Liang says BNB 4 hour and daily. Oh baby, we got BNB, Binance shitcoin fuck. Let's see, 4 hour and I'm not calling you a shitcoin fuck, by the way. I'm just calling this a shitcoin fuck. Same thing as Bitcoin, right? This one looks a little bit more like a distributed pattern, to be fair, but I am going to run with the general analysis of Bitcoin rather than this one. And what would that essentially mean? Essentially means that, hey, above about 423, I do look at this as a major macro low confirmed and very likely targets back up somewhere around $500 weekly. I didn't ask for it, but I think it's going to be a little bit of an easier chart. Yeah, same thing. And would have that same two drives of hidden bullish divergence right there. Weekly, again, losing its downside on the jewel and, you know, relatively low volatility. So I only validate I only validate major downside continuation with the daily below about 365. And at that point, yeah, it's probably going to come down pretty damn hard, somewhere around about low 300s, like 320 to 330 before the next bounce. But for right now, I generally favor a short-term try to the upside. And if you do see Bitcoin above those specific regions, again, about 45,000, you're probably going to see everything else have major moves to the upside. And we're talking like, you know, on Bitcoin, how big of a percentage move would that be from that resolution? Yeah, about a 25% move. So on altcoins, you probably can multiply that a little bit. So we're probably looking at big moves from there. Daily RSI is two drives. Yeah. Has the daily already played out? I mean, probably, maybe. Let's see. God damn it, Binance, you piece of shit. Yeah, I'd say that one. Yeah, that one certainly already played out. If you're looking for a more upside, you're looking at the weekly here, and still waiting validation on that one as well. Jack Axman is back. Says gold daily and weekly. Sure, I imagine gold's doing. What? No. What? Where is it? I don't see it. Okay, UVXY. Oh, you're looking at UVXY. Okay, my man. All right, UVXY. This is a volatility index. Holy shit, man. Yeah, this is that's likely it, man. Oh my god, dude. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, I think this one's set to explode here. Let me just double check what you're looking at. Looking to play volatility. I think that's the exact play you probably want right now. I'm looking for this to move up into the upper 30s, mid to upper 30s in the following months. This is probably going to take its time, right? But I mean, for fuck's sake, let me actually put it on like this. That is just, I do think it's generally ready right here. I do think that you've seen the lows in it for a long time, but this can take a long time to play out. I don't necessarily know how long, but I suspect over the next few months you do see a move somewhere up into the mid to upper 30s. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that, man. Let's see. I think we have Jack. He's back. Okay, so gold, XAU, USD. We've been bullish on this one for a while. Is it still wise to be bullish on this one? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So we are getting the long-term macro breakout. I do have a technical target here all the way just north just shy of about 3,200. That's long-term. I have no idea how long it's going to take to play out. But even on the weekly right here, I mean, this one is, probably ready for a little bit of a short-term pullback. I don't know if that's relevant to you. Yeah, if you're on the daily, it probably is relevant to you. So, short-term pullbacks anywhere down. Let's actually plot a fib on this one. Let's do something like this. Anywhere down to like 1920 is fair game. Just another higher low. I'm generally looking for this one to move up and to the right from here, maybe after a short-term pullback. What would be like a short-term target to the upside? We can actually do that as well. Let's see. Well, short-term, relevant to a weekly, right, would be about 2,200 or so. I'm probably a bit of a pit stop there as well. I don't have any reason to invalidate any bullishness, basically, as long as you're above 1,900 there. But you know how gold plays. It plays slow as fucking molasses, man. Paul Garrett says, Matic for and daily? Sure. All right, Matic. Okay. Polygon. Yeah, another one that's, playing off the weekly right here. It's actually quite a technical move in this case. Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, Polygon actually acting as one of the better ones, but still, awaiting validation above about 165 for this one to really be, formidable low right here. And at that point, I would be looking for that move towards $2 or so. We can record a video on this one as well, I suspect, because it's rather popular. Here we have Polygon, symbol MATIC, versus the DERPR, the dollar. And for right now, with the general market kind of showing a bit of signals, specifically with Bitcoin, I do give this one kind of a little bit of a lenient looks. It's actually not one of the strongest ones from the daily specifically, and compared to a lot of other charts that we've seen today. But if Bitcoin does move back above about $45,000, very likely you're going to see this one validate above about 165, and at that point I would be having targets up into the shallow $2 region. Looking at the weekly right here, we've had a nice technical pullback on relatively low volatility all the way down to 55. This would be not necessarily a higher low, but we do see that momentum also starting to lose their downside posture in this case. Monthly, nothing super obvious right there, actually. Lower term time frames like a 4-hour. Still within a downtrend, to be fair, as well. So I would validate downside continuation below about 146 on a 4-hour closure. Until then, I do think it's easier to watch Bitcoin and then kind of relate it to the ranges on this one. We can also check it out from this angle as well, just to see if there's anything confluential here. 5-day stochastic momentum will turn to the upside officially above 160, and that would also be playing off a multi-year trend line going back to November 2020. So getting these few lows right here. Let me just kind of mark them off. So that'd be that low. That would be this low, and well, perhaps this low as well. Would be contingent again upon closing above about 160. Weekly is also going to turn up above about 164.5. It looks like. So I do like this area right here. Basically, this last lower high right around about 165, let's say, as a major breakout region. With targets first up to about 205. Very likely a short-term pullback there, and then perhaps more over time in the following weeks to about 230-ish region. But for right now, it does need to be, as always said, with an invalidation, and actually not just an invalidation, but a validation of major downside in this case, with any sort of a closure below 140, especially on like a medium or higher term time frame. As well, we do have a slew of lower highs. We got the same lows right here. This is a descending triangle for what it's worth right now, and upon validation, this would have targets down to basically your late February lows in the 120 to 125 region. But for right now, again, just easy to watch Bitcoin above 45, and you very like to see this one have a nice move to the upside as well, somewhere around low $2 or so. Hopefully that was helpful, man. And there you go for Matic. Cool. Let me take another sippy sip. There we go. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Cool. All right, South Charlotte Services, thank you for that as well, but feel free to have a message in your life, sir. Nimbo shilling pulse for the community here. That's great, man. I'm slowly losing faith in you, but that's okay. Sorry, man. But for the love of fucking God, man, come on. Hey, like at what point do we say, sounds a little bit strange? Sounds a little bit strange to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Perhaps it is just me. What's up, HFIFM? What? Okay, you did. All right. Can Krown give me an opinion on CRO long term? Guess daily, weekly. Okay. Probably going to be doing whatever the rest of the market is doing, I would imagine, but we can definitely look at it. Where is this piece of highly esteemed technology on KuCoin? Again, same shit as most of the other charts. I do favor the short-term upside, but you say you're looking at long-term. I just want to see this one really above about 45 cents, and at that point, I'm looking for this one to actually have big moves up into the 60, maybe even 70 cent region, and I'd call this your next probably macro low. Until then, I think Hopium remains alive as long as you're above about 35, or let's call it 36 cent on a weekly. Below 36 cent, I think Hopium gets thrown to hell and very likely seeing big bad moves to the downside after that, probably somewhere down around a quarter. Long term, Mr. Isaac says, good morning, Krown and Elsa. Could you give some insight on taking div trades on CT RSI? Get lots of conflicting signals, bullish hidden divergence and bearish regular divergence. Okay, this is actually a really good question, simply because I think this is going to confuse a lot of people. So let me find an example here, maybe go down to an hourly. And so basically you're talking about this, right? So you're talking about, okay, you see a bearish signal, so in this case, bearish divergence, and then hidden bullish divergence right after that. Okay, so you have to understand that when you're looking at a momentum oscillator like this, your bearish signals within the context of a, in this case, a short-term uptrend are very likely just going to be a pullback, and you're looking for the hidden bullish divergence signal after that to essentially, play off of it. So you're not looking for a full-on reversal in this case. So first things first, you get a hidden bullish divergence signal right here. This is I'm going to just, it's literally on this bar right here. Okay. Next move is to the upside short term, right? You get a bearish divergence signal right after that on this closure. So from closure to closure, from that signal to that signal, there actually is a delta of about 600 or about $300. That's for an hourly. So that is, kind of what you can expect a lot of the time. What happens after that is that signal is then resolved by a hidden bullish divergence signal confirmed right here on a closing basis 38,571. So that is a signal to play the trend yet again on a higher low. And in this case, you can either look for regular bearish divergence on the other side to close the position, or you can just play up to the next horizontal. In this case, that would have been about 39.6, 39.7-ish region. So you have to understand that these signals are not meant to be valid for forever. These signals happen, especially on lower term timeframes, relatively fast. And when you are trading against a short, in this case, the trend on this time frame, which was to the upside at this point, you only look at the downside signals as, very short term, likely lean into the next higher low. So that's how it's, that's how it's essentially meant to be played. So understand that if you're going to be trading something like this, you can't look at a contra trend signal as something that is going to, be relevant for you can't fucking hold that position for forever. It's basically a take profit signal is what I'm trying to say. Now, when you do get reversal signals, in this case, so if you're looking for bearish divergence, you want to see typically at least 3 drives, and you want to see it around the upper end of the bullish control zone. Those are the ones that typically do beget, major reversals for that time frame. Other than that, man, it seems to me like there might be just a bit of confusion as to what these signals what these signals essentially mean. Basically, it's to say, look, if you're playing a signal like this, so a bearish divergence signal, not even in the bullish control zone, that you're not looking at a major move. And these ones over here, the hidden bullish divergence in line with the current trend on this time frame, those are the ones that if you are going to hold a signal, that's probably going to be it. But even then, personally speaking, I don't do that. What I do is I play them as scalps against each other, either using range highs to take profit or waiting for that bearish divergence. But personally speaking, I like using range highs just because it's a little bit more, it's gonna, it's not gonna have as much profit, but it'll have a higher hit rate in my experience. Anyways, let's see. I think we are at HFIFM 1 USD. Okay, 4 hour and daily. Got it. 1. Okay, this is Harmony. Yeah, we haven't looked at Harmony in a while. I know that you like this one, but we haven't looked at it in a while. If this one wants to have continuation, 15 cents is certainly not out of the question. I wouldn't validate this as like a major low in the making until you're back above about 1680 on a daily. At that point, I'm looking for big moves up towards 21 to 22 cents. Until then, it's a little bit more on the weaker side, to be fair, compared to most other things in this market. But look, if Bitcoin moves to the upside here, this one's going to very likely follow. If the weekly does even move back above last week's high, I'd say that would also validate a major upside continuation signal towards basically mid to low 20-cent region. On its own, not a super impressive chart. 4 hours, obviously still within a downtrend as is a daily. What would validate a major downside continuation move? Any sort of a daily below 12.5. 4 hour time frame, basically same thing as well. Major downside after that, very likely retesting your February lows. Maybe even low over time too, towards like 10 cents or so. But personally speaking, again, just easy to watch Bitcoin. If Bitcoin validates the next short-term move to the upside, you're very likely going to see this one somewhere right around 15 cents. Not really too relevant for the long term, to be fair, just yet. It's above basically 1680, where this one's relevant for the long term, and solidifies itself as a major low right there. Okay, let's see. David says waves. Yeah, I remember this one from 2018 actually. 1 and 4 hour, it's moving opposite Bitcoin this week. Founder from Ukraine. It's not moving opposite from Bitcoin. They're both moving up, man. I don't know what you mean by that. Daily is hitting extremes here on daily BBWP. So I am looking for this one to actually play a little bit of sideways and down. And the hope is that it sets in a higher low. Anywhere above $15 would be good, and likely imply another try to the upside long term. Hey, and to be fair, this one actually did take out this 2018 high, so that's good. Barely, but it did do it. So, short-term pullbacks, hopefully get a higher low, anywhere above that region that I just said. Below that region is where I start to look at this as just a bull trap and very likely retest down towards $8.5 to $9. But until then, short-term, probably looking at a little bit of a short-term pullback, and then come back to it after that. Assuming that the invalidation is not hit, I do think longer term it does make its way up towards 28 to $30 or so. Kind of an awkward chart here, to be fair. Yeah, kind of a bizarre looking chart, to be honest with you, especially when you got shit like this going on right here. Bit of a difficult one, at least for me. So do take it with a bit of a grain of salt as to what I'm saying. But you're actually asking for an hourly and 4 hours, so I apologize. You don't give a fuck about what I'm saying about the higher term time frames. Short term, I'm looking for a bit of short term sideways and down here. Like on an hourly, I'm looking for it to retest around 21.45. On a 4 hour, I'm probably looking for a bounce there, somewhere around about 21-ish, let's say, and then come back to it from there. I do think that it ends up retracing a little bit more, but that is more relevant to a daily. So don't know if that is relevant to you or not. Pino says BRL. Oh yeah, the Brazilian real. Okay, let's check it out. Another Forex. I actually really love looking at Forex. This one is a weird looking chart though, I will say. Long term, okay. That to me means like a weekly, monthly. I do think that it is putting in a major low right here, actually. It has bucked the trend. I don't think that this one is creating any more lower highs on the weekly. The monthly looks like it's just about ready right here. I actually do think that on the next few months, or maybe not the next few months, but the next like year and a half, probably looking at a move back around about 22 to 23 cents. You do have many drives of bullish evidence come off the low. Monthly Jules actually setting up for potentially a really good signal right there alongside low volatility. I actually think that you put in a major low right here, and next move is to the upside somewhere around about 22 to 23 cents if you're looking at long term. So long term on this, and by the way, on the quarterly, you got drive of bullish evidence come off the low. I mean, long term on this, look, long term, it's very likely, this is very unlikely like the macro low for forever, but I do think that you do have a major low in here. You do work your way up in the next like year and a half, and then probably down from there longer term. But for right now, yeah, I think that you got a nice low in. Jonathan Reisman says, can you look at Uni on the 4 hour and 24 hour? Okay. Uni swap. Okay. Wow, that's shitty as fuck. That's a quarterly. You don't care about that. You're looking at a 4 hour and a 24 hour. So basically a 4 hour and a daily. Again, very, very weak on its own, very fucking weak on its own. So, I just have to go back to Bitcoin in this case. If Bitcoin basically doesn't validate above even in the $42,000 region, this one's going to get absolutely shreked. But assuming that it does, I'd probably be looking for this one to work its way back up towards $10 or so. Problem is that this one is very, very weak compared to most things in this market. I'd only validate this as a major low with, decent targets to the upside. When I say decent targets, I mean somewhere between about 13 and 14 bucks. If this one closes a daily above about $10.50. Until then, definitely one of the weaker charts that we've seen today. When Bitcoin moves to the upside, I expect that this one will not move as much. And if you see this one go anywhere below 880, I'm looking for major continuation of the downside if that happens. Problem is, or not the problem, but that's very unlikely to happen if Bitcoin does move to the upside here, which I think is a little bit more likely, or quite literally is more likely. But again, this one's just very unlikely to benefit from any major upside moves on Bitcoin as much as most other things we've seen today. It's just a weak chart, an ugly and weak chart, but it's very unlikely to move to the downside if Bitcoin moves to the upside. So that's kind of why I reiterate that stance. If you're on a 4 hour, yeah, it's a very unimpressive chart right here. Same sort of resolution points anyways. There we go. All right. Let me just scroll around here, make sure that I got everyone. Okay. I think it's Green's next. Yes. Hey, what's up, Tokyo Channel? Wishing you a happy week as well, man. All right. Jesus Canto Venegas says, did we look at this one? The Department of Transportation. I feel like we might have, but maybe not. I feel like, did we, or was that another one? Maybe not. Same thing as most of the other charts. So this one's a little bit more on the relatively weak side, in my opinion. Any sort of a move back down below about 16.5, and I'd say that this one's very likely going to retest your February lows, maybe even lower than that over time. But until then, I do think that this one has a bit of a chance. You do see your first daily higher low in the making. Any sort of a move back above $19 would be a higher high and very likely initiate targets towards $20.5 to $21. Weekly would actually have major targets to the upside after that into the $25 to $27 region, which would be quite good. 4 hour time frame as you requested. Invalidation below 17 bucks. Again, not very strong on its own, but if Bitcoin moves to the upside here, which I think it will, you probably see this one somewhere back around about $18 short term. Be mindful of where the invalidations are, and then of course above 18, 19 bucks, that's going to lead up towards a lot more continuation long term. With those next set of targets in mind. Personally speaking, I do think that this one's put in a major low right here, and I actually do think it's going to work its way back up towards 30 bucks or so, over the next couple months. Just personal opinion, but I don't trade my opinion, man. I trade the ranges and the analysis. Anyways, Martin Hunt, there he is. Morning, man. Yep, we looked at gold earlier. Still bullish on that one. Maybe a short-term pullback, but long-term end of year, probably looking 2,200 to 3,000-ish region. Pretty good. Let's see. JJ Lieberman says, would love to hear your thoughts on Super, considering you have done work with Elio. Yeah, I mean, I've done work with him, but I've not worked on his project. So if you're looking for a fundamental look on this, I have no idea. If you're looking for a chart look on this one, I'm not a humongous fan of the chart. To be honest with you, we do have short-term some good things going on here. Drive of bullish divergence come off the lows. In fact, a few drives of bullish divergence come off the lows. So I would be looking for this one to work its way back up towards 72, maybe even as much as 82 cents. Long-term, I would confirm this as a major, maybe even macro low back above $1 on a weekly. Until then, I do think that this one is still, under a bit of pressure here. And unfortunately, if Bitcoin has any downside moves, this one very likely will not do all that well. But let's say this one gets back above back above $1 on a weekly. At that point, I'd say that this one probably does actually have a macro low end. But for right now, I'm never going to like a downtrend. And again, if you're looking for like a fundamental analysis on this, I'm not the person to do it. Short term, I think it moves to the upside here. If that's where you're at, if that's what you're wondering, 66 cents to maybe even 69 cents. But other than that, I have no real opinion. Although I would say that I do trust Elliot, and I know that he puts his heart and soul into that project. So he's usually not a guy to bet against. That's what I'd say about that. Truco Production says Luna 4 hour and 12 hour. Yep, we already spoke about that, and we recorded a video on it as well. And we do not talk about targets because that is financial advice, and that is illegal, sir. So please use your fucking brain. Sorry. Kooky says AVAX 30-minute and hourly. Oh boy, we got some rent to pay. We got someone to pay today, man. We got payday loans today. We're fucked, man. It's game over, man. Game over. Hourly. Extreme conditions on 30-minute BBWP. Probably a short-term pullback first, maybe down around about 77 and a half bucks. I didn't even ask about a daily, but I actually think this one's put in a major low here on the daily and probably works its way up towards like, just shy of $90. I mean, honestly, it's not bad. Weekly, same thing. Anywhere above 90 bucks actually on a weekly, and I'm looking for this one to have big moves to the upside from there, like 110, but you need to pay rent, so you got a 30-minute over here. Short term down 78 to 77 and a half or so, and then look for a bounce there anywhere below 77 and problems in my opinion. Pamp it, says Anthony Waldman. Bitcoin on the decade yearly. Not going to be helpful. Not going to be very helpful there. I guess I might have been being trolled. Tough with 2F, says NVA on TSX. Thank you for specifying the exchange there. That actually is very helpful for ones that I'm a lot less familiar with. Daily and weekly. That's a 30 minutes. That's not relevant towards what we're talking about. Weekly, you got a nice big gap up right here. I would be... Well, you're very close. You're very close to a likely pullback region. Let's see, what does it look like over here on a daily? I actually do think that this one does try some more upside from here, but I'd be looking at daily BBWP to kind of judge when it's likely to pull back. So I suspect you probably hit the next major weekly region. Let's just see where that is. Somewhere around about 1205 to maybe 1240-ish region, and then probably pull back from there. But I do think that you have another short-term try to the upside and then a pullback there. Pullbacks can come all the way down to $8.50 if they want. I don't really know what the hell this thing is, so I'm going to refrain from like saying a whole hell of a lot about it. But any sort of a pullback that does come anywhere, potentially down to $8.50 is just another higher low and likely sets it up for more continuation. But goddamn, man, this is an extreme move right here over the last couple of years. So I'd be curious to know what this thing is. You're already hitting extremes on BBWP on the monthly as well. So I suspect that you're probably setting up maybe for one more short-term continuation move to the upside in that mid to low $12 region. But ultimately, I do think that this one is going to pull back severely from here, actually, now that I look at the monthly. And when I say severely, I mean in the following, I don't know, half year to a year, probably looking actually down around about $6, just personal opinion. Dr. What? Cameron B says Solana USD daily. Gotcha. All right, let's see. We haven't looked at Solana in a while. I think that this one's fallen out of the general favor of people. Drive of regular bullish evidence starting to form it over here. Again, it's not very strong on its own, and that's kind of unfortunate to see for some like Solana, which was one of the darlings of this market, about half a year ago, but not any longer. Anyways, if you're on the daily, for example, excuse me. Man, I really am golden balled right there. Jesus Christ, that is bad. Anyways, look, if Bitcoin validates above the short-term regions, let's say $42,000 on even an hourly, I would be looking for this one to put in a nice move somewhere around about $100 to $1.05, $1.06. I would not validate this, however, as a major low. Yes, as a major low confirmed until you're back above about $1.04, $1.05 on a daily close basis. Above there, I look for big moves to the upside, big moves to the upside. And again, it's just easier to watch Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a better setup overall. So if you see Bitcoin above the next major region, that being $45,000, at that point, I do look for this one to put in big moves up towards like 150, probably even more over time, 180. Until then, you technically do have a distributed formation on the lows here. It is a descending triangle, but validation would only be below about $80 on a daily closure. Until then, I think that the Bulas have a chance. Just easier to watch Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a bit more lenient here as well. So yeah. All right, cool. Let's see. I think. No, it's Jack now. Hey man, just wishing you the best of the best as well, sir. Adam Killian says general overview of PLTR. Okay. PLTR. Okay. Palantir. Okay, I guess I didn't understand you. Let's see. Okay, Kathy Wood dumped all of ARK shares recently after being so long-term bullish. Hey, thanks. I'm glad that you enjoyed the Crypto Sims. General overview of it. I mean, I'm guessing you want like long-term. Really, really ugly here. I do think that you're in a more of a bouncy region. This one does see a bounce up to like $15 or so in like the next month or two. you know, any bounce is just a lower high below like $17. So, well, I do think it bounces from here. I'm not calling like a major macro low. I'm just looking for bounces. You know, first about $14, likely a pullback there, and then probably maybe one more towards like 17 or so. Long term, I think that this one's going to be ranging on the lows for a long time, but yeah, very likely does bounce from there. Let's see. Jesus Venegas is back. He says AR for and daily. Sure. All right, this is our weave, right? Okay, on Binance. Hey, pretty good move right there, actually. And this one's even taken out the last week's high as well. This is actually one of the better ones, especially in the short term. I'd be looking for this one to have daily continuation, you know, in the next, I don't know, few days, maybe a week, up to about 41 to 42 bucks. Any sort of a daily closure above about 42.5. And I confirm this as a major weekly low with targets back up towards, you know, the mid 50s in the following weeks. Not bad. Where would invalidation happen? Invalidation would happen specifically below 31.5 bucks. You know, probably retest its lows from late Feb after that. But right now, man, one of the better ones. 4-hour time frame, I should say, maybe has one more slight move to the upside, but I would be looking for a short-term pullback, maybe somewhere around like 38, 39 bucks. Starvo, gold versus Bitcoin? What?
How's your voice?
I can do a little bit more, but probably should close them like now. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so gold versus Bitcoin. Actually, I haven't looked at this too much, so let's see. Interesting. So this is gold versus Bitcoin. So Bitcoin being the denominator means that, well, if it's generally heading down and to the right over time, then Bitcoin's stronger, which is what you would expect. Anyways, I do think that you put in a major high right here, actually, and I do think that this one, pin the message, pin it. I don't see it yet. Waiting for it to pop up, sir. There we go. Super chats are closed. There you go. All right, so we'll do all the super chats that were submitted before this moment, but not any of the ones after this moment. Anyways, yeah, I do think that you've seen a major high right here, and do work your way down, you know, in the next week or so, somewhere around 0.445 region, somewhere around there. You didn't really give me a time frame or anything to go off of, but many drops of not bullish, but bearish divergence off the highs right here. I'm looking for this one to trade a little bit of sideways and down. Cool. Chris says RNDR on KuCoin. Okay. And this is render derp. Okay. 4-hour and daily. Pretty good on a short-term low right here. I do think this one works its way up towards shallow $3. 4-hour short-term continuation up to 275 to 280-ish region. Probably another short-term pullback from there. But ultimately, I'm looking at this one as likely to move up towards those daily targets as long as it's above about 250. So that would be an invalidation for me. Long term, terrible chart, absolutely god awful chart, but would confirm a major low above about 333. And you know, again, you probably see Bitcoin have a nice move to the upside if that does get confirmed. So definitely possible. Short term having one of the better moves, to be fair as well. Cool. Let's see. We got a few more over here. I think Mr. Dr. Roscoe says Cadena. No one asked about Carderpio. I haven't seen a Carderpio in a long time now. I must want to look at it for old time's sakes. Daily, weekly. Okay, let's just see. Very similar chart to most of the other ones. A little bit more on the relatively strong side, I would say, long term, just because it did hold the weekly 55 right here. I think we had pretty much all of our pullback targets. Yeah, we had all of our pullback targets met on this one, so that's good. In this case, I would actually confirm a macro low anywhere above 845 with big targets up towards 12.5 to like 15 bucks. Following that on a daily, I would confirm this as a major, a major low back above about 770 as well. I think that's all you kind of asked about. Invalidation below about 590 with, you know, probably going to retest your January lows after that. But I actually do think that this one's setting a major low right here for what it's worth. So again, I think most things in this market kind of look like this, which is a general sign. Again, easier to watch Bitcoin though, in my opinion. Bitcoin on the decade yearly. Yeah, I mean, we can look at Bitcoin on a yearly, on a decade time frame. It's not gonna make any sense, but I'm actually curious what a yearly looks like. Backfill in the yearly open and up. No indicators populate at all. So yeah, not very useful, but hey, you know, would be a little bit more on the bullish side, I guess. I mean, it is a general uptrend. Here's the 6 month, pretty unhelpful as well, but yeah, that's all I have to say about that, man. Oh, and there's Cardano. Oh, Carderpio for Uncle D. That wasn't Cardano. That was Cadena, and we just did Cadena. So we'll do Cardarpio now. Holy shit, man! I'm worried about you. Dad, Cardano weekly RSI $1 price now versus $1 a year ago. So you mean when Cardarpio first hit $1 back here, the RSI was very high. Now it's very low. Yes. That is true. What's your point? No, I get what you're saying. You know, a bit of hopium right here. Look, this is an incredibly weak chart. This is a very god-awful chart right here. And while I don't think that this one's going to make or continue the downtrend while Bitcoin does have some upside, it is relatively weak, meaning that even on Bitcoin upside moves, it probably doesn't follow as much. I do think it could very easily hit 90 cents, or it's not even at $1 right now, man. You know, I do think best it does the upside on this next move is probably like a $1.05 to maybe a $1.15, but a very, very weak and ugly chart here. You know, never really going to be a fan of this one as it is, but I do think that you put in a nice low, as are most things, and next move is to the upside. The question is, on this next move to the upside, you know, does it overperform Bitcoin? I doubt it will. You know, all higher term time frames are still, you know, not very interesting, but hey, you know, Bitcoin, I do think is kind of putting the market in its backpack, and well, probably going to try some upside from here. I mean, we're kind of getting it right now, so not bad. Sweet Lou at Isle Equity says, Matic general glance, please. Yep, we looked at that one earlier, and I believe I recorded on it as well, so I'll upload it later today. And I'm guessing I'm just getting this one a little bit later. Why my dick brown again, says Krown. We're going to mega poop now. Polkadot, yep, we looked at Polkadot a few times, and I think that's it, man. I think that's it. You know, again, I need to be maybe a little more clear with my views. While I do call Cardano like a generally bad chart long term, it's just it's very likely to move to the upside alongside Bitcoin. It's just probably not going to move as much. And if Bitcoin shows any weakness or rejects, more importantly, or invalidates the downside, that one's going to be one that just gets, you know, just schlacked all the way down. But for right now, I think most things in this market kind of have a chance here. And hey, you know, the big key is Bitcoin back above about 45. If you see anything like that, you're very likely to see everything in this market rally up, you know, 20 to 30%. I think around there, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending upon relative strength and weakness. We've already looked at Harmony 1, sir. We've looked at it several times, in fact. For the love of fucking God, man. Oh boy. No, we actually didn't do FTM. No one asked about it, but I guess we can just very briefly look at it just to see. I'm actually kind of curious myself because it's usually one of the better ones. So let's see if it's actually acting as one of the better ones. Man. Oh, this one had the like the founder left or something like that. Probably short term, works way back up towards 150, but I really don't have a strong opinion on this chart, man. You know, with an event like that, it really kind of lost its luster. I mean, it was actually one of the better charts a few weeks ago, not any longer, like respectively speaking, or relatively speaking. All right, cool. Nikki Page, I share your sentiments very, very closely. Briefly, Monero. Yeah, Monero is actually one that I like to look at just from my own understanding. Monero, yeah, really good move right there. Really good move right there. This one's pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, already confirming a major low in this case. Probably works its way up towards 250, maybe even $300 in the coming months. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I'm only bearish on this thing below about like $1.75, $1.80. Right now, this one's actually one of the leaders, in fact. 4 hour time frame, even well above its range high, so that is good. We'll watch the Sim podcast after. All good, man. Yeah, it's there for you whenever you so desire. I think we're probably going to leave it off there. I'll just see if there's any more interesting questions. I don't really want to be looking at any more charts, to be honest with you. My voice is starting to lose its luster right now. Just see if there's anything of particular interest here, and then we'll probably move about our merry day. See a lot of people talking about shitcoins, man. I think we're done with that for the day. Save that for Friday, perhaps. Yeah, I think privacy alt season. I don't think. Well, I don't know. Monero's I think the only privacy one that we saw on the stream here. But so far so good. Yeah, definitely one of the better ones. Definitely one of the relatively strong ones. How are things in Finland? Moving to Portugal. I want to have 2 residencies, ideally. But I mean, so far so good in Finland. I mean, I do like it here, but the weather could be better. You know, so that's why Portugal for like half the year would be a good idea, I think. Damn, no funds for Prada today. Yes. She's being starved. It's very awful. Kookie? Yeah, Kookie. No, I did not miss your super chat for AVAX. No, we went over it earlier. Can briefly go over it again, sir. But I think. Yeah, I still like the higher lows here, man. I still want to see it above about $90, but above $90, looking for big moves up towards, you know, prior glories at like $120 or so. I'll just scroll back a little bit earlier though. Anywhere below your last $72 loan, I do look for this one to fall apart down to like low $60. But for right now, you know, I kind of give the nod to the short-term upside. And again, just watch Bitcoin for its major levels because they're a lot more easily well-defined, in my opinion, a lot more well-documented. Alrighty. Okay, I think that's it for today, sirs and sirs. It's been a nice pleasure as we get through this Wednesday, which is kind of, I thought it was like Tuesday or Monday actually. I don't think I missed. Who was it? I don't think I saw a chat from AK Makar. Yeah, I don't think I saw that. I don't know, man. All right, just post it really quickly and we'll wrap it up, man. But I do have to kind of get off because my voice is starting to really hurt, man. If you could just quickly do it, sir.
It's alive, but it didn't get through.
Okay, it didn't go through.
There was no super chat.
Oh, okay, there was no super chat. All right, got it. All right, then I don't feel that bad. All right, fellas. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure as always. Want to say thank you to our moderator crew for keeping everyone safe and SAFU as always. And we'll be back on Friday with another live stream. And I think I really like this schedule where it's like 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the other days just kind of a steady upload because it's more easy for me to get my thoughts out in a clear, hopefully a little bit more clear way during those. And I think it's been playing out pretty damn well this past couple weeks here. So again, major thank you for joining in. It's been a pleasure. Speak soon and wishing you well as always, as Elsa waves in the background. With that said, take care and until next time.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, fix or pitch it. Copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate. Pause it, list it, send it, burn it, pump it, hack it, quick rename it. Take it, lend it, send it, swell it, sell it, flip, unflip it, see it, watch it, learn